Thanks everyone for tuning in to this Stardom discussion of the 2025 Cinderella Tournament Finals. The following contains heavy spoilers for the 2025 Cinderella Tournament. On March 15th, out of a unique field of 16 competitors, a new Cinderella was crowned. And to keep us guessing, the Cinderella's wish was neither declared nor granted. On the night's main event, a masked kid dressed in white barely escaped the ring with her championship. Her mask was painted black, her mouth and white roses were covered in blood. To help me sort out what has just taken place, I need some serious backup. So, my guest for today from Talk for Glory is Enigma V4. Enigma V4, how is your day going so far?
Hey, Jason, my day's going pretty damn good, man. Coming right off of that Cinderella tournament, and I've got a lot to say. So thank you so much for inviting me here to Right About Radio.
So, the first thing I want to just set the table and start off by discussing is the fact that this Cinderella tournament this year had a different feel to it, a different style. There was a lot more focus going on with this tournament. The main difference that I noticed is the change in the overall lineup and the increased focus on some of the younger roster, some of the rookies, and less decorated wrestlers, people who have not had a chance to prove themselves. So, just to get a sense of where you're at in terms of what you thought about this tournament setup, do you have a personal preference in terms of the lineup size for the Cinderella? Did you like the fact that there were 16 wrestlers? Did you prefer last year's more robust lineup of 24? Where do you really fall in terms of your opinion?
I did notice the difference in size. 16 definitely caught me off guard, but the number didn't really matter to me as much as the participants. A majority of the wrestlers here looked like they could have also done like a new blood tournament. So although I am open to the idea of fresh new faces and giving the younger generation a huge opportunity, I started to not feel the sense of comeuppance from a lot of these people, from the simple fact that it never felt like anyone had the real one up on anyone because it felt like everyone was an equal playing field.
I really felt that the lack of accomplished, or I guess we'll say established wrestlers in the tournament, it made the overall winner of this tournament at the end of the day not have to go through as challenging of a lineup, not have to face these overwhelming odds from level to level, from quarterfinals to semifinals to finals. I think in some ways it maybe detracts from the overall accomplishment. Whereas in previous years, we had some really heavy hitters that had to be overcome. And this time, as when we talk about the finalists and the winner of the tournament, maybe we'll get a little more specific. It doesn't look on paper as huge of an accomplishment as maybe it did in previous years. Let's go ahead and talk about the first of the semifinal matches that took place on March 15th. This was, of course, the match between Sayaka Kurara of Cosmic Angels and none other than Azusa Inaba, the youngest member of Hate, who made it to the semifinals thanks to having a bye due to the fact that Aya Sakura and Hanako eliminated each other and cleared a path for her. I know that you, Enigma V4, are a fan of at least Tomoka Inaba. I assume both Inaba sisters.
Yes, I am.
And this was a quite an opportunity for Azusa to showcase what she can do. This match really highlighted the thing that Sayaka Kurara seems to do best, which is play as an underdog. And this match had a lot of limb work, with Sayaka's leg being attacked relentlessly. And I really felt this whole show seemed to have a lot of limb work happening from match to match to match. But ultimately, the underdog did manage to turn the tide. And in 13 minutes and 13 seconds, Sayaka Kurara overcame Azusa Inaba, the first villainous match for her of the night, with what the Stardom website is calling the Tokimeki Falcon Arrow. Enigma V4, what did you think of this match? And were you at all surprised by the result?
So I love this match for the simple fact that it's Azusa Inaba and Kurara Sayaka, some of the young and up and coming wrestlers of Stardom over the last 2 years. But when it came to how they would fare against one another, I thought I don't remember them having many interactions, so I don't really know if their styles will mesh. I was kind of looking forward to Aya Sakura versus Azusa, but she got double eliminated. When it came to this match, though, I was not expecting limb targeting towards the leg, which as the match went on, I thought, oh wait, if she targets the leg, then Kurara can't really hit the spear like she can. So the fact that she had ended it with the Falcon Arrow, I thought, okay, she couldn't really hit the ropes. So that was actually pretty cool. But yeah, Azusa's just been like she's great. Just wish there was more. But Kurara though, amazing underdog.
So we will move right along to the next semifinal match, which had a lot more going on, a lot more hype behind it, a lot more stature to this match. Probably the two most accomplished wrestlers in this tournament overall. And the fact that they have so much history already in Stardom and the fact that they are sisters made it all the better. We had Hanan of Stars facing the Pink Devil, Rina of Hate, 1-on-1, the former Cinderella winner of 2024, taking on her younger sister for not all the marbles, but quite a few marbles. I believe you are a fan of Hanan, and you've said many good things about Rina in the past when we've collaborated. Did you have a lot of hype going into this match? And how did you feel about what they brought to the table?
I was just hoping that this would be better than their Future of Stardom Championship match that they had a couple years ago. And yeah, they did exactly that. The thing about Hanan's matches from the beginning of the Cinderella 2 now was there were a lot of rematches. We got Tomoka and Naba versus Hanan. We got Miyu Masaki versus Hanan, Rina versus Hanan. Like a lot of these are former rematches that Hanan got the one up, or maybe she got time limit draw. And against Rina, I was certain that we would have gotten Hanan in the finals again. Because although Rina's amazing, she is skyrocketing up the stardom ladder. But do I think she would be good enough to hit Cinderella finals? No. But she proved me wrong. And although she beat Hanan, I don't think this was Hanan's biggest loss to her sister. I was always under the impression that Rina's going to get her big win against Hanan, probably in the 5 star, because I actually see Rina going into the 5 star this year.
That is definitely something I've been wondering about. I think what tournaments are next for Rina, what path she tries to walk, bouncing back from the events of tonight, and the fact that she could not secure the white belt against Starlight Kid earlier in the year. Definitely something that I have my eye on. And I would not at all be surprised to see Rina in the 5 star Grand Prix. And this actually was the finals that I thought they might go with, just based on some small hints and some small clues that they left at the beginning of this month. And they actually booked this Sayaka Kurara versus Rina in the Cinderella finals. We're on one side of this bracket. Sayaka Kurara having to work her way up through the Cinderella tournament, initially facing Ruaka of the Hate faction, and then facing one of her peers, one of her rivals, Rana Yagami, someone who Sayaka has been anxious to be able to defeat. Then taking on yet another member of Hate, Azusa Inaba, in the semifinals, working through the pain, the repeated targeting of her leg, and somehow being able to withstand that onslaught and crawl her way up to the Cinderella Tournament Finals, where opposite stood Rina of Hate, the third villainous member of that faction to face Sayaka Kurara. Rina herself having to deal with a number of people. Firstly, having to deal with the brand new rookie, Yuria Hime, and then the only outsider, or the only, I guess, newcomer to Stardom, Tabata, before facing in the semifinals her own sister Hanan and getting a gigantic win there. Both of these competitors seemed a little bit exhausted, a little bit nervous, but also there was an extra spark as they stared each other down. Neither person willing to relent. And this match got a little bit frantic, a little bit frenetic. There were moments where certain roll-ups and certain slams didn't quite have the impact or the cleanliness that you would expect in a standard match, but this was no standard match. This was two warriors who were already depleted, trying to find that extra gear, trying to find that extra life that they could use to fuel this match. A number of false finishes, a number of kickouts of moves that we don't usually see kicked out of. And at the end of this match, it was the underdog, the babyface, the Cosmic Angels representative, fighting on behalf of not only herself, but perhaps people like Tam Nakano, landing a Tokimeki spear and quickly reaching out for that pinfall and getting the 3 count against Rina, a gigantic, gigantic win for Sayaka Kurara, who becomes the 2025 Cinderella winner. We will be talking about her ceremony, but before we get there, what were some of your takeaways from this match? And did anything surprise you here, or did anything stand out to you that you want to bring our attention to?
What stood out to me, I guess, once like finals hit and I looked at the left and the right side. Well, first off, throughout the whole tournament, I actually noticed that I believe we've only had one over the top elimination, and that was Raka. But when it comes to like this finals, like in terms of the match, unlike last year, Hate really did like stay out of the way, and you'd be surprised in comparison to Raka got a lot of help from last year's Cinderella. So you would think, okay, Hate would probably help Rina in the finals. So I'm surprised that there was like no Hate shenanigans. Maybe Rina just had something to prove. Win, lose, draw, she definitely proved it. That her one-time opportunity at the Wonder of Stardom Championship wasn't just a fluke. I think she's going to be a mainstay name. But when it came to Kurara, though, I was so surprised that nothing she did felt as though she was running on 100%. If anything, she was running on fumes. And I love that. I love that you could see the desperation, the tiredness, the last bit of breath in almost every move she pretty much did. She actually hit her Falcon Arrow way before she hits her spear. I'm pretty sure she won both matches, yeah, against Azusa and Rani Agami with said Falcon Arrow. So the fact that she used the spear, which I thought was going to be nullified this tournament after Azusa and Naba had targeted the legs so well, caught me so off guard and surprised. And Rina, she basically wrestled almost a perfect match.
And where Rina goes from here will be one of the things for us to talk about. But we have some more to talk about because as Sayaka Kurara, and for everyone, just so you know, we're going to skip forward a little bit and talk about the Cinderella sort of ceremony and presentation, even though this was literally the last thing that happened, but it ties into what we've been talking about. Sayaka Kurara, firstly, just an epic, fitting, beautiful presentation. You can see sort of the vision that Stardom has with elevating this person further up the card, making her a little bit more front and center in their storytelling. As Sayaka Kurara received her trophy and wore the dress and the tiara and stood in the center of the ring, she declared to the audience that she was not yet ready to state the nature of her wish, that she was going to wait until a more appropriate time, which raises some eyebrows, raises some question marks, and is going to get a lot of different conversations started about what specifically that wish could be. So why don't we just start that conversation a little bit right now? I'm curious, Enigma V4, did you like the fact that Sayaka Kurara held back this information? And with her sort of leaving this unsaid, unspoken, what do you think her wish could possibly be moving forward?
I was really thinking, okay, the Cinderella tournament is specifically built for like anyone that wants a white belt opportunity. But with Sayaka, I was kind of hesitant because I don't think everyone should challenge for whatever belt at any time. I think you should reach a certain level within yourself. So I was actually under the impression that Sayaka was going to wait out on her wish. I thought she was going to probably just wait it out just a bit because I remember, I believe 2 years ago, Mirai had waited out on her wish when she challenged for the Wonder of Stardom Championship just a little bit after All Star Grand Queendom. So I thought, okay, maybe Kurara's going to check out the landscape by that time. But the way it came off, subtitles or not, it sounded as though Kurara herself didn't know what she wanted to wish for. And I like that.
For me as a viewer, and this could be some of me projecting or making my own assumptions, jumping to my own conclusions, but with every Sayaka Kurara match that we saw on the final night, I couldn't help noticing the presence of Tam Nakano, not only at ringside cheering her on, but also with each Sayaka Kurara win. It was almost instantly Tam would leap into the ring and congratulate Sayaka. And sometimes the camera would cut to a shot where Tam Nakano was watching from the distance. I'll just go ahead and ask this. Do you think there is a chance that Sayaka Kurara's wish will somehow have something to do with Tam Nakano at this stage?
There was like a 2% chance in me last night where I thought, okay, I think I might know the wish. It sounds crazy, but Kurara's going to wish for it to be a triple threat at All Star Grand Queendom. And then when she said, I don't know that, okay, this has to do with something Tam related because Tam hasn't left your side since the tournament started. And Tam is technically a freelancer. I would assume that if this is how it works, that Kurara might wish for Tam to like remain in Cosmic Angels or something involving Saya Kamitani. Like, if it's not a championship, it's definitely involving one of those two.
The Sayaka Kurara wish became only more convoluted with the appearance of Unagi Sayaka in the Cinderella finals night, showing up after the Cosmic Angels versus Cosmic Angels tag team match, even though Unagi Sayaka failed to beat Tam Nakano in a loser leaves Stardom match. Or I guess, can't remember, but the stipulation for Unagi was that if she lost, she would have to leave Stardom. She is now back, and it doesn't seem like there was any repercussions to this. She just decided that she can show up in Stardom. We obviously know that Tam Nakano supposedly was under the same restriction, that losing to Sayaka Kamitani removed her status as a Stardom wrestler. She's now a freelancer, according to the Stardom roster page. So this only makes it even more hard to track or understand.
I was so confused when I heard Unagi's theme song start playing because I was under the impression that it was Loser is banned from Stardom and Unagi is a wild card of wrestling. I've made peace with that. I've always thought if Unagi ever comes back to Stardom, I hope it's like she just jumps the guardrail and like security's telling her you have to leave, you can't be here, you're banned. And that's how that happens. But like the moment I heard the music play and she comes out, I'm just like, aren't you banned? So that was funny. But now that you brought up like what's stopping Tam from doing basically the same thing, that's actually like one of the funniest things that could possibly happen.
Now, moving on from the Cinderella tournament itself, we can talk about the main event of this show, which was for something very, very important in Stardom as well. Not the title of Cinderella, but the Wonder of Stardom title between Starlight Kid, the Sky Tiger from Neo Genesis, and Konami from Hate. This match had a number of things that made it stand out, I will say. Firstly, we were told that Starlight Kid just earlier this week was dealing with some kind of injury. She was not able to perform on March 12th at Korakuen Hall for the Strong Style Pro Wrestling match. And she had Azumi take her place in that match. I don't believe we were given the specifics of what the injury may have been, but Starlight Kid was determined to make it to March 15th and defend her title. And wow, did she have to pull out a lot of grit and resilience, because she was brutalized in this match, both within the storyline and just within the reality of some of the things that happened. By the end of this match, Starlight Kid was a gruesome sight, just an utter mess. Her mask completely defiled, not only by the spray paint of Konami, But shortly after a series of kicks to the face, it seemed that from underneath that mask, somewhere upon Starlight Kid's face, she was leaking a lot of blood. I suspect it was coming from her nose, but it's really hard to see with all the messiness of what was going on and her mask just being a complete wreck. It looks even more insane because one of the ears, one of the tiger ears, ended up getting sort of folded up or smushed and smashed. And against all logic, against all possible odds, she had to land a couple of her heaviest hitting moves to just by the narrowest of margin retain the Wonder of Stardom title in her second successful defense. And you could see at the end of the match that Konami was almost happy. She was looking at Starlight Kid and grinning and laughing, almost as if Konami had really won the match. She didn't win the title, but she had cost Starlight Kid so much life force and so much agony that Konami almost seemed to have this position or this state of being that she thought she accomplished exactly what she set out to do, which was just tear Starlight Kid limb from limb. And I certainly hope that Starlight Kid is going to be okay after this. But this was hell on wheels. What did you think about this, Enigma V4?
So watching this match, I I've wanted Konami to win the Wonder of Stardom Championship for quite some time, but this match was absolute brutality on Konami's end. And I don't know if you noticed this, but Starlight Kid barely did high flying this match. She really was fighting from down under from the whole time, injury and throughout the match, throughout the beatdown. And to bring up um SOK winning and Konami laughing about it, I think Konami broke out in laughter because the realization just hit her like, I lost, but you got so lucky. And I even think that. I think that Konami brutalized SOK so much, and I don't even think the spray can was necessary. I think it was just for decoration because that mixture of white, black, and red, which is the spray, her mask, and her blood. What a devastating sight! But more insane is I really thought Konami was winning this after that much of getting a beating. I really thought Konami was walking out with the white belt. I wonder this: what if Konami kicked out? Do you think Starlight Kid had enough in the tank to deliver one more Tiger suplex, one more regular suplex, a moonsault, anything? Because I think that's what Konami was laughing about. That was everything, and by the skin of her teeth, by the inches in her mask, Starlight Kid barely gets away. And I think Konami knew that better than Starlight Kid did.
I think that we have to just assume that whatever injury Starlight Kid may have been dealing with is still persisting. She seemed to have her shoulder or both shoulders taped up. So I suspect it's some kind of shoulder injury. The fact that she will not actually be facing Sayaka Kamitani in Okinawa as they had agreed to do, the white belt champion facing the red belt champion in a special singles match upon Starlight Kid's request because she doesn't want Saya Kamitani to end up retiring if she loses to Tam without facing Starlight Kid one last time. That whole plan has been put on hold. Now, the fact that she got busted up pretty good by at least one of those kicks, we don't know if her nose is broken or really what her status is because the mask obscured so much of the pain that she was going through, but also the specifics of the injury. And she won the battle, but may have lost the war here, is how I would probably say it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it. I think Konami definitely won the war just because if you notice, right after like the 3 count and the little promo that Starlight Kid does, she's very out of breath. She's very winded. She's pretty much kneeling. Well, I'm pretty sure that Konami just like ran out the ring. Like she could have gone an extra like 10 minutes. I don't know if Kid could have gone like 5 more minutes.
Well, just to reiterate, I definitely hope that Starlight Kid will be able to walk away from the damage that she withstood. So we're going to have to wish that this ends up in a good place. But before we completely wrap up our discussion, I would like to thank you very much for sharing your insight and your observations about these various competitors and these various battles. But please, Enigma V4, can you let everyone know where they can find you, what you are up to, and what you're all about, my friend?
You guys can follow myself on my wrestling podcast called Talk for Glory. It's on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Little diversity depending where you guys are going to look. If you guys look on YouTube, you guys will find the following of WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling. While if you look on Spotify/Apple Podcasts, I do more of a open mind kind of thing where most of it is Stardom, some of it is New Japan, but I'm starting to branch out because a lot of you guys are starting to ask me Q&As, and I think that would be a really fun thing to do for a video. So maybe I'll post on my social medias, which you guys can also find me. You guys can find me on my Instagrams at Enigma period before. You guys can follow me on my Twitter at Enigma underscore before underscore. And you guys can follow me on my Twitch if you guys love gaming at Enigma underscore before underscore.
Very, very cool. Looking forward to what you get into in the future. I want to thank everybody for checking this out. Please share your thoughts on the Cinderella tournament and the next steps for Stardom throughout the remainder of March, throughout the month of April, on the way to their big, big, big show, All Star Grand Queendom. So, everyone, we wish you well and thank you for watching.